Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Welcome to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with your host, Bill Stierle. And Bill, I got to tell you, my head is spinning with all of the news that is going on right now. And It's all about toilets, taxes, and truth. And wow, I mean, I'm so much to talk about, but they're actually related in many ways, I think, in terms of communication.
Yeah, and privacy, and loyalty, and see, the funny part of it, Tom, is that we really don't have to talk much about the setup, the much about the setup, because the rest of the news media is going to cover the setup. See, we need to talk about, go right to, let's drive down the center of the freeway here, and not and just keep our eyeballs up to how to communicate through a conversation about toilets, and how the, kind of like the need for accuracy and clarity regarding history means that whatever document that's created inside a government is recorded and placed in a spot for posterity, and that is good record keeping. And there's kind of not a lot of wiggle room about not good record keeping regarding government or regarding business. Regarding our personal life, take your papers out in the backyard and burn it. And if there's nothing legal around, if you can kind of sort of get away with stuff because our free society allows a certain amount of flexibility that people are not watching over you 24/7. So, that's a part of it too.
There's no personal record keeping act that says you can't burn your own documents and erase your own videos or whatever, you want. I mean, it's the National Record Keeping Act that is at issue here with, Trump and the whole, the revelation from, I guess, this book that's going to be coming out, among other things, that he would routinely tear up papers that were drafts of speeches and drafts of tweets and all sorts of things. And guess what? As president of the United States, the law says you're not allowed to do that.
Kind of not allowed to do that. Kind of allowed to tear things up. You kind of are not allowed to, flush things down the toilet.
And, I can hear Trump supporters saying, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, of course, he's going to tear things up or whatever. I could see people rationalizing that, well, the good speech that he gives, you don't want to have the bad speech be news out there. Why wouldn't you let him tear him up? But the thing is, Trump knew before becoming president that there is this law, the National Record Keeping Act, because I saw him give a speech talking about it regarding Hillary Clinton and her 30,000 emails, that she should have known better, that there is this National Record Keeping Act. As Secretary of State, anything for the administration has to be preserved. So he's on record in a pre-president speech, in a campaign speech, saying he was well aware of the Record Keeping Act.
So, I mean, somebody can know about something, and somebody can, be an advocate for something. But it's kind of a weird thing to say. It's like the need for respect or self-worth or identity says this is for everyone else except for me. and it's our brain will, create this wobbly logic. It's our mindset, our language will allow us to justify because we're in the right. And why are we in the right? Why would the brain do such a thing and not take accountability? And it all comes down to kind of one word, which is protection. I want to protect my self-worth. I want to protect my identity. I want to protect my brand by making it about something other than me. And so how do you speak to it? It's like, it seems like the president is having trouble with toilets, so he blames the toilets not being able to flush 15 times on national news. He's blaming a toilet for not doing what he would like it to do, which is flush papers. There's something wrong with the toilets.
But this blew my mind, Bill. And, for our listeners, I just want you to understand. So Bill remembered this from a couple of years ago with President Trump in office, where he's actually multiple times on national TV complaining about the 1.6 gallon per flush toilets and that they don't flush, and that we're actually wasting more water having to flush 10 or 15 times. And Bill, now that this revelation of Trump ripping up documents and flushing them to try to destroy them has come out, that rant of his multiple times on national TV about this really important problem that needs to be solved with our water in America, that we don't have toilets that are doing the job right the first time, makes so much sense.
Yeah, he is transparent with his communication. If you just take a little bit of what he's saying literally, if you watch the Anderson Cooper video, I think we could put that in the clip, is that he's making fun of the craziness, but the news media is not attaching it to the truth, which is, the truth is he was flushing documents that he did not want read with toilets and blaming the toilets for not being effective.
Well, and I'm sure
the sewage system. And
I'm sure the late night comedians at the time, just like kind of Anderson Cooper has this ridiculous that he does that, and we do have that video in the blog post for you listeners that want to check it out. It's actually quite funny. But late night comedians also were probably having a field day with this, making fun of, how big of a bowel movement does this guy have that he needs, this industrial strength toilet to get rid of it in one flush. Not anybody ever considering there's something else going on there. Can you imagine the White House staff at the time when he goes on TV with one of these rants from the White House, the Oval Office, or wherever else he was in the White House, saying this is a serious problem and we're going to have people look into it because you have to flush 10 or 15 times to get things to flush. And that's just not right. Can you imagine the staff thinking, oh my God, when they find out he's flushing official documents, what is that going to mean? They're like worried that the real story probably would come out.
That's correct. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
And then what to do about it? I mean, there's what to do about it. It's like there's, they used to, in the past, say that Reagan was a Teflon coated president because nothing would stick to him. And then they would say Bill Clinton was a Teflon coated president because nothing would stick to him. And they figured out how to get things to stick to Hillary. They figured that one out. But Trump you could throw anything about it, but nothing is going to stick to him. Oh,
he's slippery. I mean, they're supposed to, even when the Record Keeping Act is so serious that even if there's conversations the president is having with people, there's supposed to be a stenographer that is present to document it. And, Trump was notorious about, trying to have conversations without the stenographer present. Now, not that presidents shouldn't be able to have completely private conversations. They have to have, I think, completely private conversations at times. But oh my goodness. Well,
so the thing to remember too is that what creates Teflon, what creates people not sticking thing is the listener's predisposition for their beliefs and biases. And it prevents things from sticking. So he gets through the first impeachment, and that gives him permission to do the second. And then he does the second, and then he gets impeached twice. And the 10 Republicans or a 10 more, whatever the number was for senators that could have voted to impeach and not have this person in the field of view right now because he can't run again. We're moving on. They had an off-ramp that would have been fine. Their voters aren't going anywhere, but in their minds, they think, oh my gosh, if we convict this guy, we become unpopular. No, you don't. You don't become unpopular because your people have no place else to vote. They can't vote Democrats because you did such a good job of damaging their brand that they still got to vote with you, even though they could be mad that you voted their favorite guy out, the TV star. And so, there's some disappointment that the profiles and courage weren't sitting there to go like, wait a minute, what is the long-term benefit for our party instead of the short-term benefit? We just got to hang in there with this guy and think we can make it work. They still think they can make it work with him. And they really just can't, but
amazing. Because every day there's another story coming out that's negative that you would think would cause more brand damage to Trump and the Trump organization. Let's go to taxes for a moment, because that's another thing that's happened right now. So the Trump organization has a accounting firm. I mean, and I'm talking major, huge accounting firm, because you can imagine how complex the Trump organization taxes are.
Yeah.
And we've all been hearing about these taxes since before he was president, because he wouldn't release them because he's under audit and all this stuff. Well, so the accounting firm Mazars, that's Mazars, one of the major national, U.S. Top accounting firms, sent a letter to the Trump organization's chief financial officer on February 9th. And that letter came to light just a few days later here, when the attorney general for the Southern District of New York that's investigating the Trump organization, Attorney General Letitia James, filed new court documents to explain why she wanted to get Trump and his adult children under oath. That's why this all came out. The Mazars letter told the Trump organization that Trump's financial statements from years 2011 to 2020, that's 10 years of statements, in case you're, not counting, could not be relied upon to be accurate, and that it should tell anyone relying on those documents, banks, for example, that they were not reliable. It went on to say that there was now a non-waivable conflict of interest with the Trump organization that meant that Mazars was not able to provide new work products for the organization. This is basically one of the largest accounting firms in the company firing the Trump organization as a client, saying they are not going to work for them anymore. So that's huge news. And you would think it's like devastating the Trump organization. I certainly thought it was devastating the Trump organization when I read it. And then, Bill, you're like, yeah, well, maybe not so much.
Well, that's the challenge. And it would have been damaging if it didn't give them additional evidence, additional legal spin to spin it back in their direction. It would have been damaging. And so the challenge with writing things legally is that you're writing things so that they don't get exposure to it. Because if they get exposure and they get involved in a countersuit, they can't support the district attorney. So there's nothing in the letter to allow the Trump organization to countersue the accounting firm for defamation. There's nothing fully in there. The Trump organization probably will file they will start bad mouthing Mazars. They're a terrible accounting firm. They aren't the best anyways. We don't know why we went with them, blah, 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 blah. So what they're going to do is they're going to start trying to shift the brand damage to Mazars. Over the next week, it's going to be this organization is not very good, or not this, and they're going to start, taking a stick and start swinging at Mazars so that the damage does not hit on to the Trump organization, because it's the shiny, hotel, painted in gold, and it's the best place ever. So what does this mean? What does this letter mean? And I think you had mentioned that Conway had mentioned some of those things, and it might help our listeners to kind of get a hold of what that kind of like that truth is, to get us away from the biases and the various different beliefs that are projected in our direction.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to share that. Yeah. So lawyer George Conway, remember, he's the husband of Kellyanne Conway, who was in the Trump administration for quite a while. He interpreted the letter for non-lawyers in a series of tweets. Basically, he said, in quotes, decision regarding the financial statements equals they are false because you lied. Totality of the circumstances, in quotes, equals the district attorney is serious about this, going after the Trump organization. And then this, quote, non-waivable conflict of interest equals we are now on team district attorney. And the last one, not able to provide new work product equals, sorry, we're not going to jail for you, Trump organization. So that's what, George Conway put out, which I think is probably pretty darn accurate. Of course, you make the real point, Bill, that sure, that's George Conway's practical interpretation of what's behind the letter. But Mazars didn't say that. Had they come out and said any of those things like you lied, then, they'd find themselves on the other side of a defamation suit in a hurry, right?
So Conway went all the way to this extreme. And then Mazars was already on this other extreme here. We're going to be we're not going to get countersued. We're not going to get this, and so on and so forth. And we're not going to deal with that level of litigation because we don't want to pay these guys any money. We're just going to try to see if we can dismiss them by firing them and telling them we can't deliver the quality of work that we would like to deliver. And we're going to try to get out of this thing because it's such a mess. And then the next thing is that it's that if they come out and be point on, then all of a sudden it's like that's what they get. So Conway could say it over here, and then people can call him a rhino. He's never Trumper. That's why he's, trying to be this way, and he's not our identity. Because, even though he's married to somebody that supports that identity, he's not that identity. So now on the other side of the fence, it's like, what is a letter that Mazars could have wrote that also could have been a little bit more on point, yet compassionate for the activities that Trump and the organization did? How can you write a compassionate letter and still not getting sued? And that's called, in Bill Stierle's mediation world, is you want to step into the uncomfortable. You got to step into saying the Trump organization was looking to secure cash flow for the organization. So they chose to report these numbers. And they were also looking to support the organization's net worth by reporting these numbers. And what you do is you're stepping into the good reason why they did it. And then the Trump organization would say, see, these are the good reasons why I did it. Not knowing that they're walking down the admission of the illegal activity.
Yeah, they're slowly walking off the plank.
They're slowly walking off the plank of the ship. And regrettably, it's what they wrote was legally sound and legally protective, but it didn't allow us to get to what the truth was by just step into it, not as harshly as Conway did, but really compassionately to, well, it seems like they took advantages of these laws and everybody gave them a wink and a nod and let them do it. And we're just going to not represent them because our need for integrity, see, what's missing in that is our need for integrity as an organization will not allow us to work with them. Can you imagine if the word integrity was in that letter? As an organization, our need for integrity will not allow us to support this client.
It'd be an interesting way to backhandedly say the Trump organization lied without saying it, because you're saying our need for integrity will not allow us to do this.
Yeah.
We're not saying that they did anything specific. But they're saying our need for integrity won't allow. That would be quite something. Because the Trump organization latched on to that letter and some statements within it to find that I thought this was laughable. It's really kind of crazy. And I thought it was crazy. I think you said, no, that actually makes some sense, Tom, when you heard about it. But I was like, they are, the Trump organization tried to spin this letter as a complete and total exoneration.
That's right. The amplification of perception and perspective is something that you've got to also step into. It's like, it seems like that the Trump organization would like to see this one point they put out as an exoneration. Regrettably, we feel doubtful and skeptical that is the range of errors that are inside their reporting. Notice that I'm literally taking a bucket of water and putting it on, and I made it. I created the emotion that I would like the listener to experience. We feel doubtful and skeptical that this one truth that they're pointing out will line up or match with the other truths that we found that are not in alignment with our need for integrity or staying in alignment with tax code. Now, notice I just introduced something new, staying in alignment with tax code. I didn't say you broke the rule. I didn't say that it's just not in alignment with tax code. So you really can't get a defamation because were they in alignment with tax code? No, they weren't in alignment with tax code.
Well, it's also very hard to prove it either way, which I think would give Mazars an out. It was really, as one NBC legal analyst put it, Orwellian doublespeak with the Trump organization trying to say that this letter was that Mazars said they have not concluded that the various financial statements as a whole contain material discrepancies, and that the work Mazars performed in accordance with professional standards, that they did that. So, I mean, they're trying to, like you've often said to me, Bill, there can be, out of 20 statements in a letter like this, there could be 19 of them that could be negative and potentially dangerous, but the Trump organization will latch on to the one that's complementary and amplify that to really diminish the impact of the rest.
That's right. That's right. The amplification is in order to capture and corral biases and beliefs of Team Trump, of the MAGA movement, of the new identity of the Republicans, which is I'm just trying to keep the people I want in my tent, and I don't want to lose that 20%. This distraction that we're sitting with, it needs to, it can lull to sleep. I'm going to say this, it's going to sound so upsetting. It can lull to sleep the voters from the Democratic Party to say, oh, there's no way why do I need to vote? Because clearly this guy's lying, and there's no way the Republicans are going to ever vote for this guy during the midterms, or any of their people during the midterms, because look at all the lies. The belief that they have is no one is going to vote for these people. The belief that would be very helpful for them to engage in is it's a dogfight, and they need to show up, and they need to be amplified. And that is where the thing is that they need to be full out press going like this firing Mazars is helping the Republican vote. Let me say it one more time. The firing is helping the Republican vote. The reason why is because the faithful are going to defend their leader. They are coming out in droves to defend him against Mazars and everyone else that is voting. Is this the most unsettling thing?
It is completely unsettling. It's bizarre.
It's the way the limbic brain works. Is I am going to protect my identity. I am going to protect my my point of view. I'm going to protect the thing and person that I've invested in, that has lifted my spirits, that has caused me to fight against the wrong, to deal with those evil people on the other side that want to waste money. Why don't we just talk about wasting money instead of that other thing? But it's like if you go to a city and distribute T-shirts about a pro football team for free, and everybody's wearing the same T-shirt. The hat didn't cost anything. What it bought was loyalty, inspiration,
right,
engagement.
And this is what Mitch McConnell and establishment Republicans are fighting against, and they're so sick of all this drama and theater and these more revelations that keep coming out. I mean, this whole thing about Trump flushing the documents down the toilet and all this stuff is not helping Mitch McConnell. And he's fighting against this. He's trying to get establishment type Republicans, not Trump loyalists, to run, and they're not doing it. He's losing that battle. And it's really, on the one hand, from a certain perspective, really shocking. It's really interesting to hear your perspective, Bill, that no, it makes sense because it's about loyalty. Right. It's about he's your guy. And I mean, the funniest thing that I've seen that sort of shows how far we've come in this country. And remember, I mentioned earlier in this episode about, Trump having spoken on television about, I think I mentioned it. If I didn't, I'll just restate it briefly, but that Trump talked he's campaigning for president back in 2015, he's going all out on Hillary Clinton for her emails, the 30,000 emails that were gone, talking about the National Archives Record Keeping Act, that, she should know her husband was president and she was Secretary of State. You have to preserve all your records. You can't just delete your emails. And he knew the law. And now, he and all his supporters are going to try to excuse him ripping up draft documents and flushing them down the toilet. And, Hillary Clinton is trolling Trump lately. She's got these hats that say, but her emails, and these mugs, coffee mugs that say, but her emails. And she's on social media trolling him, essentially trying to, label him as a hypocrite, which isn't really going to work. It's kind of funny.
No, it's funny, but it's not going to work. What would work is a hat that says, really, integrity counts, ? I mean, it's like the counter message of the value he's running over. It's like record keeping ? I mean, a red hat with record keeping on it. It's like, it's something that is that, have you had enough fairness yet? Have you had enough respect yet? It's like these, the communication challenge is that he uses every law case as a marketing opportunity. Every time that he is in the news, he is going to amplify and point out the partial truth that is in that accusation, that it's not true, because then he gets to amplify the marketing message.
I mean, it'd probably be more effective if Hillary put on a hat that said, make America flush again, or something like that, because Trump has made such a big issue about the water and the toilets, and now we know why. And it is, I'm sure the establishment Republicans are like, oh my God, how are we going to win with all this craziness going on and with our party divided? Because there is quite a divide within their party. It's not enough.
Yeah. Not enough to affect the local things yet. Not enough to affect it yet. And I feel curious it's because this just creates so much of diffusion. It creates so much diffusion in this, short attention span world, that we're talking about toilets and record keeping and National Archives, where people think and their bias is that, yeah, sometimes my toilet gets stuck too, and I would like the water bill with it. That's their bias. They're saying, yeah, I agree with the president. Yeah, there's not enough water that allows the toilet to be flushed, and they're not even seeing the importance of record keeping, because it's not in their worldview. It is a flat earth mindset. This is the only way I could see the world, because this is all I could see the world as. And we got to remember that point of view still needs empathy to it, because it's their point of view. It's like the guy can't do anything wrong. And because he's rich, because he's successful, because he's confident, because he's a bully, because he gets what he wants. And,
well, I do think it's important to understand that, because understanding that is the only way to probably cut through it all. So, well, thank you for that, Bill. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. This one is really important, Tom. I think that if we take a moment to communicate in a way that gets us back to our primary values of integrity, respect for America, respect for what it means to have one vote per one person, how to create equality under the law. And these are the laws we agreed to, and we want to stick with those. And if some of the laws are bad, we want to rewrite those in order to get back to this mutual respect and mutual fairness that we all share here in America. It'll go a lot better. And that's the hope, that we can kind of get the North Star back up, so we can start washing it, and start steering the ship in the right direction.
Boy, that would be great. Okay, yeah. Bill. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.